Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Mark Chalmers, CEO at Energy Fuels. We talk about the buying of pounds in the market, M&A activity, what's happening on the rare earths front. They're processing monazite now and going to be sending it to Estonia for separation and eventually bringing that all in-house. Can they compete with the Chinese? He gives us his thoughts. And if you want my thoughts and opinions on the conversations, topics discussed, the company and their business plans, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. There are commentaries from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities, including our weekly uranium show. Now it's 51st week. Quite an interesting and insightful show in itself. We've got training courses on there. We've also got summaries of all the interviews that we've done just to save you some time, because we know you're busy people. But most importantly for us, go and join a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, safe and friendly environment, free from judgment, trolling and abuse. I think you'll love it. You can do that at cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too, so give us a like, it'd be appreciated. If your thoughts below, we get back to everyone. And if you want to see precisely some of the topics discussed today, do take a look in the list in the description below. Mark, how you doing, sir?
Excellent, Matt. I'm always good. You should know that by now.
I know you're always.
I always answer, and I'm doing well.
You're far too lively, far too energetic for my liking. But I'm not surprised. Market cap over $1 billion. It happened. You must be pleased.
Well, yeah, absolutely pleased. You know, when you get to these higher market caps, that gives you a lot of capacity that you don't have when you're 150, 200 million market cap. So. Yeah, look, everybody's going on a good ride here in particularly uranium space, rare earth space. So, these are the kind of periods that you have to have been in the market before the market turns. This is the time that you're glad that you've been through those darker periods when investment wasn't quite so bullish on what we're doing.
That's for sure. Hey, we got a whole bunch of new viewers, a lot more generalists here. Going to have to ask you, I know you've done it for me a lot of times, but give me that 1 minute summary, overview of the company, and I'll pick it up with some of the questions I've got for you from there.
Okay. Well, look, there's no peers to Energy Fuels because we're a critical mineral material company, and our primary business is uranium, but the addition of the rare earths is really exciting for us. And then if you look at our ability to produce vanadium and some of the recycle, we're quite diversified as a company, but we're a green energy company that can reduce carbon emissions and help with electrification of the world, basically. So we're more diversified than only 100% uranium focused company.
Okay, well, let's talk about that positioning, because then a lot of people jumping on the green bandwagon here, and I get the uranium, where that is positioning itself. You're talking about rare earths in the context of being a US hub. We've talked about that before, but how much value are people putting on the rare earths component? Because uranium's been on a tear. Most companies have, doubled or trebled in price. The market's done all the heavy lifting for you guys, really. So this $1 billion valuation, is that down to the uranium or the rare earth story?
Yeah. Look, you'll never know exactly what you, and how you can allocate value, but I think we're still tracking with our uranium peers. I think we're probably sort of in the middle of the pack with our uranium peers. I think that people still have a hard time kind of figuring out, Energy Fuels, if we're doing uranium, rare earths, and how that all packages up. So I believe that there's still a lot of growth to go on the rare earth side as we unveil and move forward with our strategies and start demonstrating to the market that we're crawling up a ladder. And on the top of the ladder are the MPs and the Linuses, and it'll take us a bit of time to get there, but we're going to go up that ladder, and that creates other growth opportunities for investors. So I'm actually kind of glad to see that if you look at the two sectors that we track with the uranium group, and then we can still have that opportunity to grow with the rare earth sector.
Okay, so I'll come to the rare earths in a second, because there's uranium's had a few quite interesting things happen in the market in the past few weeks. Not least of all, uranium companies, juniors, raising money to buy pounds in the market. Can we expect to see you do the same?
Well, we already have our uranium, and we produced it. We produced the uranium at our facility. So no, we're not planning to buy a product. Does that mean that we wouldn't consider it? I don't want to say no to that 100%, but no, it's very unique. I can't recall in my 45 years in the uranium business of all these companies going out and buying uranium. And look, and I think it makes sense for some of the companies. I really do. I think that like us, if the price uranium starts to increase in value, you're going to get a lot more lift on that than having money in the bank at the current interest rates. So I think it makes sense for some, but I do scratch my head when I look at some others and think, why are they buying uranium? It just seems like a bit of the lemmings are out there buying uranium right now.
Do you think we can expect to see more of it, though? Will more people follow suit? Because when you say scratching your head, do you think, oh, that's just a marketing gimmick? It's just trying to get noticed in a period where we haven't been able to, as a uranium industry, haven't been able to do too much. We've been sitting around waiting.
Yeah. Well, look, I think that buying uranium is a hell of a lot easier than producing uranium. Okay. And when you start looking at prices in the high 20s and everything, you can't go out and really mine that material for those prices. So, look, I think it's it's a way of people having some trading stock and some upside to the market. And as I said, to produce those pounds at those prices, some of these guys buying uranium, I think this will be the most uranium they'll ever have. In their company histories. And I'm not saying that as a negative, but that's the truth. It's it's product that has intrinsic value that's certainly greater than the prices that they're able to buy at. So it does make sense from an investment perspective.
Sorry, I hadn't thought of it like that. That's I know you're not trying to be amusing, but it was quite amusing. Okay. That's quite good. Okay, so if I look at the market at the moment, and I'm seeing all of these companies raising money to go and buy pounds in the market, I'm also seeing them get their bids filled really quickly. They're making an announcement, we've raised some money, we've closed the deal, and they've transacted. So they're getting filled. So does that suggest there's a lot more uranium out there than we perhaps realize?
I don't know for sure, Matt, but I think that the market is deeper than maybe some people had thought when, you go out and try to acquire pounds, that you're able to acquire them. But yeah, people have been able to acquire pounds fairly quickly. I'm not sure what exactly that signals, but it does signal to me that, there is product to buy. And I think that even companies like, Cameco have gone out and been buying for some time now, and they find that if they want product, they can buy it, and I think that's one of the problems with this whole contracting cycle. That the utilities, when they've needed material, they go out and they round up the pounds they need, and they're not finding it to be too overly tight. So, but we know it's changing, Matt. We know it's changing because we're producing a lot less uranium than the world's consuming right now. And I am really pleased with sort of the growing recognition of the importance of nuclear power for baseload energy, and even recently with the EU declaring it as sort of clean energy sources. So I think we're on a new wave here, and it's been long in coming. Over this last 10 years or so.
Yeah, and it's a topic we discussed at great length in our weekly uranium show on the cruxinvestor.com/club platform. The fact that some of the countries are getting behind it, and a lot more positive discussion being had even in the States. I mean, you're obviously based in the States. Is the Biden administration still making positive noises? What are you hearing about the Uranium Reserve Fund? Any movement on that?
Well, yeah, look at they are making, some positive moves and statements on nuclear. We're still kind of waiting to see how the Department of Energy rolls out the uranium reserve. That's been going a bit slow. I think they're still trying to fill a number of these appointed offices, in these different organizations and departments, which has slowed things down a bit. So, yeah, look, I think we're still pushing everything we can push, and I'm actually quite pleased with the positive statements that the Biden administration's made on all things critical minerals and materials. So that's been good, and let's see where it goes. But I think we're on a super cycle for low carbon energy, and hopefully that'll be around for a number of years here.
Okay, so it sounds to me, and I know you've said it before, but you're not counting on US government contracts. You're not counting on US uranium reserves to bolster your fortunes anytime. You're not expecting it anytime soon. You're getting on with the business of doing business.
Yeah. Look, we, you're aware of all the work we did with Section 232 and whatnot. That's took several years now. If you look back at when we started that, and we haven't, been able to yet capitalize on support from the government. We believe that it is coming, but we're just managing the business based on our own fundamentals and focusing on our ship here. So we're gonna drive our ship or drive our bus, whatever way you want to use an analogy to use. If we get support, and we'll take it if we get it. But right now, time is important. Being able to move fast is important, and so that's the way we're driving the company at Energy Fuels.
Okay, look, I won't stay too long on the uranium stuff because I'm not sure. Apart from the market sentiment changing, there's not too much I think on the ground that's moving. We've seen obviously a recovery, a reset, and then a recovery on the spot price. A couple of weeks ago, $27, mid 27s, and now up around 31 again. It's because of this recent buying, I suspect. Do you think that the spot price will reset at a lower level?
Yeah, look, I don't know. As long as we have the imbalance and we mop up a lot of this, sort of excess, material out there, I'm hoping that it continues to creep forward. We know that we need higher prices. I mean, $30, even high 30s isn't really enough. There might be a couple projects out there in the world that can cash flow on high 30s, but it's got to get up to that $50 plus range to really start to get interesting from a producer perspective, to really look at putting projects back into play here from a production perspective. So yeah, I don't know how it's going to settle out, but as I said, the $30 a pound is cheap uranium, once it's gone, we're going to have to see increases in prices.
Yeah, okay. Like I say, let's park the uranium. I know you says the dominant US uranium producer, and we should be talking about uranium, but I'm slightly more excited about the potential of what you're trying to put together with regards to the rare earths. Okay, you've assembled quite a team of people, and you've got your first monazite contract agreement signed. When do we start seeing things? When do we looking in at your process, get a sense of what things are costing you, what the margins are? Are you going to be able to manage the entire food chain there? Can you genuinely compete against the Chinese, or once again, you're going to have to rely on the Chinese for some component?
Well, it's early days, but we believe we'll be in an excellent position, probably as good a position as anyone, to be cost competitive with China. Now, to do that, we have to have full integration, or largely full integration. We want to be as independent as we can from others in time. We've got the relationship with NEO in Estonia, and we're really happy about that, because there is no separation in the United States. We are processing monazite right now. We started processing monazite a few days ago. And as I've said to the market previously, we believe that at the worst case, that'll be cash neutral. At the mill level, perhaps generate a couple $1 million. But again, we've got to get some scale to it. This Chemours agreement is a great starting point, but we need to uprate the feed into the mill and get the economics of scale. But all indications to us is this, given enough feed and getting integration in place at the mill, this is going to be a very robust a project for us with rare earths. So, we're really excited about it. It probably has higher margins than we see in the uranium space. So I know that people are asking for details and more information. We don't have those details yet. I mean, we're replicating what the Chinese are doing. It's happening quickly. We've got lots of inbounds of people with monazite, whether it's already mined or potentially to be mined. And we're working through those, and I hope to be able to get more clarity, through the course of the year. And I think people will be excited with what we're doing, because this is a big deal. It's a big deal, not just for our company, but it's a big deal for the United States of America, North America, and actually the whole developed world, in terms of what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish quickly and at very low cost.
Okay, I get it. It's early days, right? So when you're talking about cash neutral, because you're putting small amounts through it, it's I guess your version of a pilot testing at the moment. But just want to understand entirely what you mean by we're going to copy what the Chinese do. You want or need to put a fully integrated solution in place. So stage one, get an agreement for a supply of monazite and process it. You are processing monazite now, so you're learning how to process monazite. What comes after that? Because you can't be shipping processed monazite the processed monazite in the shape of rare earths over to Estonia as your end solution for separation, can you? I mean, surely that will damage the economics.
Yeah. Well, we're making the rare earth carbonate, which is basically uranium, thorium-free concentrate that we're shipping to Estonia. And as I said, there is no separation in the United States. Estonia and Silmet is the only separation in Europe. So, we're able to move forward with a separated product, working with NEO, complementing that in time. And in time, I'm not talking about 5 years out. I'm talking a year, 2, 3 years out, that we'll be looking at separation at White Mesa, because we believe that the economics of separating at White Mesa and also having a relationship with NEO makes all the sense in the world. So we're gonna push forward, and I can tell the listeners that we're going to separate at White Mesa. We're going to do it. If people think we're trying to ask ourselves if we're going to do it, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to get ourselves in a position to separate at White Mesa. And we're looking at, the market caps of Linus and MP at $4, $5, $6 billion. We're crawling up that ladder, as I said earlier. So, we're not going to be shy here. But at the same time, we've got to get the stars aligned here to be able to inform the market in a better way, in a more accurate way, when we get more agreements in place that we can explain the plan more thoroughly. But look at the China plan. The Chinese are recovering the rare earths, they're recovering the uranium, and they're also recovering thorium. Okay, now we're not recovering thorium at this point in time, but we're thinking about that, because they're doing it for a reason in China, and there may be a good reason for us to do it at White Mesa. So it's probably going to take us a few more months for people to get more information on what we're doing, and I look forward to being able to communicate that to the market.
Okay, fantastic. I think people are looking for that, because at the moment I'll say it again, it's early days, but they want more. I think people want to be and want to get excited, but there's too many unknowns at the moment. So in terms of how much, how much have you got cash to be able to do this, to do all this work on the rare earth side? You good for money?
Yeah. Look, we're in very strong position. We paid our debt off. We've got the inventories of uranium and vanadium. Vanadium prices have gone up quite substantially, as has the uranium prices. And then you look at the cash we have. We put in an ATM, refreshed our ATM at the end of December of 2020. We exhausted that ATM. So we're in a strong position. I mean, we've got, north of $80 million of cash or working capital. So we're in a very strong position, particularly being debt free. We are, we're very pleased at where we're at, and we're pleased with the attention we're getting, particularly with those that understand what we're doing. And not many people understand what we're doing, because particularly the rare earth space is sort of a very boutique-y, kind of quiet, part of the resource business that people don't fully understand.
Okay. Can you just talk to me about the thorium? You talked about the option of producing thorium, but what's the market for that at the moment? Why would you be considering that?
Well, look, I think the Chinese are recovering thorium because of the interest in thorium reactors, and there are a number of groups out there that are just looking for sources of thorium. A lot of the thorium that people have access to or have had access to the past couple decades is old thorium, and it's had some radioactive decay, and the purity and age and everything is complicating things for people. So look, we think that between the thorium reactors, perhaps some medical uses, there are uses for thorium, and it's not something you go, buy on the shelf at the grocery store. So, we think that it's something that's worth looking into. We're looking into it, and we'll see where we go there. But I think that, again, look at the China story, and that's what we plan to do. But we're doing it in the United States of America.
There's a lot of cash slushing around for uranium companies. You will have quite decent bank balances at the moment. You've said to me in the past, I'm not interested in buying additional. We've got enough assets. Has your position changed on that?
I don't think it has changed, but I'm always going to be open for things that make sense. I mean, I know that's a really simple answer, but I've mined uranium around the world for decades. I'm not afraid of operating around the world outside the United States. We'll see, how things evolve. But I want to, continually focus on, having the best assets we can to be as cost competitive as we can and stay as focused as we can. So, at this point in time, we're not, running out and looking for, new uranium projects. I mean, we might look at, some of the rare earth projects. It's again not on the number one on our plate here, but there are people inbounding us with certain opportunities on those fronts. So just step by step, we'll do what makes sense.
Look, okay, appreciate your time today. Just wanted to catch up. It seems quite a busy place at the moment. People are interested again in the uranium stories. Equities are moving. Do you think it's just going to sort of sit back now, or can we expect this to keep moving steadily towards the end of the year?
Well, I can tell you, we're not just sitting back. We're as busy as we've ever been, but as I've told everyone, we're not, jettisoning the uranium business. That's our core business, and we've got a long history there. But no, we're as busy as we've been since I've been back with the company for coming up on 5 years. We're going to keep running hard here and start, showing people how we're climbing that ladder that I mentioned. So, it's a busy time, and I hope that the appreciation for clean energy, carbon-free energy, electrification continues. I have a hard time thinking it won't. Just keep watching this space. but it's been a good ride so far this last 6 months.
Certainly has, certainly has. Okay, Mark, well, stay in touch. We're watching eagerly from the side.
Always a pleasure.